Welcome. I'm Atul Setlor, Principal Product Manager for AI ML in AWS Marketplace. At AWS Marketplace, we enable customers, essentially you, to easily find, buy, test, and deploy from hundreds of third-party pre-trained ML models and purpose-built algorithms that are deployed in Amazon SageMaker. I'm excited to have with me Julian Simon, AWS Developer Advocate for AI ML. Together, we will showcase winning solutions from the recently completed AWS Marketplace Developer Challenge Hackathon. In this hackathon, we invited participants to develop impactful and innovative solutions using AWS services and one or more of the ML models that we had curated from the AWS Marketplace. This hackathon was hosted on DevPost, and submissions were accepted from February 19th to April 15th, 2020. We had over 1,000 participants from 92 countries, from Albania to Zimbabwe, competing for 9 prizes. And this is reflective of the wide interest in AI and ML globally. And now you can find all these submissions and winners on the DevPost website. Today, Julian and I will discuss the winning solutions because they help demonstrate how you can accelerate ML adoption using pre-trained models, ML models, AI services to quickly develop innovative and impactful solutions. But before we go deep into the hackathon submissions, I would like to start by asking Julian a few questions. Julian, can you tell us how do builders get started with AI ML on AWS?
Hello, Atul, and first of all, thank you for having me on the webinar. So how do people get started with AI and ML? Well, we have a wide portfolio of AI and ML services that have been added to AWS over the years. And I think generally we find 2 categories of customers. We find developers, architects who are very knowledgeable about software engineering, IT, but who have little to no ML experience. And we also find experienced practitioners, people who've been working on ML for a while. And so we've built different services that fit their different needs. So for example, we have high-level services like Amazon Rekognition for image and video analysis, or Amazon Poly for text-to-speech, Amazon Translate, etc., which are really API services that make it super easy to get the job done. You know, call an API, get an answer, most of the time a real-time answer, and move on. So these are based on models that we have trained and optimized so that you don't have to, and just plug them into your apps and get results. Of course, we have other services that let you train your own models on your own data sets, and this is an important service called Amazon SageMaker, and we keep adding to that. And one of the options in SageMaker is actually to go and use pre-trained models, such as the models that are available on AWS Marketplace. So as you can see, there are plenty of options. Whether you're just starting with machine learning, whether you're experienced, you can go and select what makes sense. I think for a good example is, you need translation. Well, even if you're an expert, maybe you don't have time or resources to go and build your own translation service. Maybe there's really no need for it. So you can just go and use Amazon Translate and then focus your time and energy on solving the actual machine learning problem at hand. So there's a little bit of everything, and for everyone. So just use what makes sense to you and quickly build, quickly experiment, create value for your organizations and your own customers, and generally just go fast.
Excellent. And so Julian, as you kind of, we have a breadth of solutions on AWS, and I was curious if you could, double click on pre-trained models. How do they fit in the development approach of developing applications using ML?
Sure. So when you first start with machine learning, you're actually very excited about training models. It looks like, it's the cornerstone of machine learning, training. But you quickly realize that training on a significant data set is a problem. It is not an easy thing. Well, first of all, you do need a data set, right? And of course, there are plenty of toy data sets or public data sets out there, and they're good, for learning and experimenting, and maybe they get your project started. But most of the time, you will need your own data set, and if there's any scale in your project, it is a huge effort to go and build that data set. So sometimes you just need to experiment quickly, right? You want to show a POC to your stakeholders or your customers, and you just don't have time to go and build a data set. And even if you have a data set, training, optimizing the model is not as easy as it seems, right? When you move on from examples you find on the internet to real life problems, you see that, well, it's not so easy. So for those different reasons, starting from pre-trained models can save you a ton of time and money. So of course you can start from models that are available in open source libraries. They have what is called model zoos, hosting state-of-the-art models for computer vision, natural language processing, all kinds of different things. And you'll find those in TensorFlow and Apache MXNet and PyTorch. I mean, all the leading libraries have those models, and they tend to be, state-of-the-art models trained on public data sets. And then you have the models on AWS Marketplace, which are state-of-the-art models, sometimes purposely built by the AWS partners who trained them and uploaded them to the marketplace, and they bring a lot of business knowledge, and again, this is going to help you accelerate. So starting from a pre-trained model, whether you grab it from a model zoo, whether you grab it from the marketplace, is an excellent way to accelerate your project. Show some early results, again, maybe a POC, and maybe sometimes it is just good enough for production, right? Maybe you can use transfer learning, fine-tune the model just a little bit on your data, and you're done. So you can save months and sometimes years of work by using those models. So most customers I use actually do that. They start from existing models and sometimes use them as is, or sometimes they use transfer learning to specialize them for their own data. So it is a really, really popular technique.
Great. And so as you think about the AWS Marketplace, what personas come to your mind, for end users utilizing these models from the marketplace?
Well, I think, just like for AWS services, we can see less experienced developers using them, and we can see experienced practitioners using them. And let me take two examples. So I think we saw that in a lot of projects that were submitted to the hackathon. I mean, not all of those developers were machine learning experts, and actually a lot of them said that this was their first experience with machine learning, and yet they built very cool stuff, as we're going to see. So if you're a mobile developer, if you're a front-end developer, you don't have machine learning skills. You don't want to have machine learning skills. You just want to build cool stuff. You want to build cool applications that are engaging, fun to use, that solve problems for the greatest number. So by going to the marketplace, selecting 1, 2, 3 models that get the job done for you, and deploy them on SageMaker in just a few clicks, you get a real-time endpoint. So you get an HTTPS API that you can invoke, and plug into whatever application you're building right now. So it really opens a new world of possibilities for that type of developer. And if you are more experienced, then again, maybe you need to show quick results. If you work in a startup or if you work even in a larger company, time is of the essence. No one wants to wait for 6 months to know if a machine learning project is creating business value or not. So maybe you have a data set, maybe you don't, but if in a few days or a couple of weeks you can already build a prototype that you can plug into one of your business apps and show that yes, there is a value, a clear business value, a positive impact on whatever business metric makes sense to you. If you can show that in just a few weeks, then you can go to the stakeholders or you can go to your customer and say, see, if we plug in this computer vision model, or if we plug in this natural language processing model into this application, this is the kind of thing that becomes possible. So, let's continue. We see positive impact. Let's continue building on that. And then maybe it's a way to unlock more time, more resources, start generating interest, maybe revenue, and while you go and build the real thing that could be maybe your own model or your own data, etc. So again, I think there's value for wherever you come from. You should definitely consider using those models.
Excellent. So Julian, now we'll switch come back to the hackathon, and so you were part of you're a judge, and I was curious, like, what was your experience being a judge on the hackathon?
Oh, well, I loved it, and it was a really fun process working with you, and Jeff Barr was on the jury, so it's great to exchange ideas, and although we mostly agreed on everything, sometimes, well, a few projects were kind of more they generated more discussions, so it was good fun. I was very, very impressed by the quality of submissions, and you mentioned we had 1,000+ entries from 92 countries, so that's an amazing number. And it goes to show how machine learning is impacting the IT world and the IT community. Sometimes you would think, well, it's only going to be the crazy startups in the main technology hubs, and outside of that, not much happens. Well, you couldn't be more wrong, right? 92 countries, so it shows you the appetite of the developer community for machine learning and how excited and eager they are to build. And I want to congratulate them all, from the number one to people who maybe did not have time to complete the project. Well done, and it was a very, very fun experience working on those projects and trying to find winners. And that was very difficult. I mean, it's a very difficult exercise to actually rank those top projects, because all of them are so cool. And we're going to look at them now, right?
Exactly. Yeah, no, it was quite energizing. Hackathons by themselves are super exciting because they incubate creativity and new ideas. We had a great partner with DevPost who helped organize this for
Absolutely.
us, and just to build on, like, the judging, what you shared, we had around 15 AWS subject matter experts review the submissions, and every eligible idea was rated at least by 2 AWS subject matter experts, and then the top 21 were rated by yourself and me and 4 others that very highly qualified AWS representatives. So it was tough, as you said.
Oh yeah, it's not easy. I mean, and I had it very easy because we just had to look at the top ones. But shout out to the team to the AWS team of reviewers that actually went through all the the bulk of submissions. because again, a lot of them are so impressive. So even picking 21 is already difficult, and as you will see, in a few minutes, the winning ones are really cool. So how did we select them? I think we should talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so there were three criteria in which we evaluated these ideas by. The first was the quality of the idea, including the creativity and originality. The second was around implementation. How well was the idea implemented? The breadth of AWS services and marketplace models that were leveraged by the developer in building this application. And then, last but not least, the potential impact. This was just looking at the readiness of the solution and the most positive impact for our users and customers. And so those were like the broad three themes that we looked at in evaluating each of these submissions. And I would say kind of, overall, it was thrilling just to see the breadth of solutions that were submitted, from like personal protective safety to education, to IoT automation, social apps, advertising. So there's a lot to share and learn around these.
Yeah, and the range of technologies that was used as well was was very interesting. I mean, they even in the winning entries, I think we have a very wide range of different AWS services that have been used. So yeah, from machine learning to infrastructure to storage, etc. So it really shows that machine learning doesn't live in a dungeon. It's not one thing on the side. It's part of IT, and AWS has the storage and compute and database services that help you quickly build, and they're a good place to build machine learning solutions as well, as we saw in those winning projects.
Great. So Julian, maybe we can start, if you can start by sharing details on the first place winner of the hackathon.
Yes, so the winner is a project called Mobility Explorer by Abraham in Canada. So congratulations, Abraham. Amazing project. So the project is a traffic monitoring platform. So it's going to use camera information, so images coming from street cameras, and it's going to analyze the amount of traffic that happens in a specific location. So it's checking for pedestrians. Yes, that's an example here. It's looking for pedestrians. It's looking for bicycles and motorbikes and cars. Okay, and it uses different models for this, as we'll see in a minute. And so, by periodically looking for moving people and moving objects, it builds an accurate picture of traffic at very specific places in the city. So the benefit, of course, of this is it gives you a clear picture of the busy streets and the more quiet streets, and what's the flow of traffic across the city during the day, right? So that data is refreshed every 5 minutes. So it's not quite real time, but it's still very, very fresh data. And so you can see in real time what's happening in the city. So I think what amazed us in this project is the combination of machine learning using different models for object detection of, like I said, pedestrians, cars, etc. And of course the UI integration, which is really fantastic. And I think on the DevPost website, you can actually click a link with a demo to this project. So if you want to experiment it for yourself, just go to the DevPost website, check out that Mobility Explorer project, and you can go and zoom in and actually see exactly what you see on the screen here. So I think that combination of UI and machine learning, and of course impact, because we live in pretty crazy times where we need to be careful about the pandemic, and we want to understand how people move around, and where we need to be extra careful, etc. So I think this is why Abraham won. And if we look at the actual architecture, so we can see on the left hand side the processing layer. So this is the a collection of Lambda functions that are scheduled every 5 minutes. So this is the CloudWatch bit here. You can schedule events in AWS CloudWatch, which is generally the monitoring service in AWS. So every 5 minutes, we wake up 3 Lambda function. Each function will grab a picture from the camera, okay, and it's going to push that picture for prediction through a human detector model, a bike detector model, and a vehicle detector model. Okay, so every 5 minutes, we figure out how many humans, how many bikes, how many cars are in all those pictures. Then it pushes all the predictions, all the data into Amazon Aurora, which is one of our database services. And here Abraham actually used Postgres, which has a geographical information module, so helping map data to specific coordinates, and then using more Lambda functions and using the data stored in Postgres. The application builds those graphs and that you can see here in the app, and all of them are available through the API gateway, which is the API service in AWS. And then there's a content delivery and a DNS service, Route 53, that's making all of it available for browsing. So really a very impressive end-to-end solution. With very sharp web skills, very sharp machine learning skills using 3 models from the marketplace, and it's also very cost-effective architecture because it only uses Lambda. It doesn't use any instance. If there isn't any traffic on this, it's not going to cost much. So well, bonus points for cost optimization. So Abraham, you totally deserve to win this. Awesome project.
Very nice. So yeah, I could agree more. Like the Mobility Explorer is such a timely application, and in the case of this application that Abraham built out, he was using data from camera feeds in Calgary to essentially access those publicly available data feeds and feeding this to the solution that he built out.
Yeah.
Again, love the rich map visualization and charting. Lots of, I could definitely use it in planning my day around when I want to step out. So I think that's super helpful.
Yeah. I mean, I live in Paris, and we have a kind of a public service that tells us that gives us traffic information, and it's nowhere near as good as this. So I mean, Abraham, you should raise money. There's a business here. you can help us.
There you go. All right. And so with that, let's move to the next one, which was the second prize. And so the second prize was a submission called Smart Teacher, and this team, or the submission, was also rated as the most popular submission as well. So they got 2 prizes. and Smart Teacher is essentially a browser extension that is used to automatically generate multiple choice question quizzes and smart notes for educational videos. So it's essentially a tool to help students just improve their learning via quizzes and summaries that are actively generated from these videos. The team comprised of 2 graduate students, Sumant and Priya. Congratulations to them. And clearly both have been spending significant time learning online and were motivated to use ML to improve the learning experience. So again, a fantastic idea. As a parent, it resonated a lot with me. And again, going back to the most popular winning, it resonated with a lot of people in terms of seeing the value of using ML to augment the learning process, to automatically generate quizzes and summaries.
Yeah, so this is a really nice one, and it's one of those ideas that make you think, why hasn't anyone done this before? It's a very cool idea. So just like you said, that they have a plugin in the browser, so you can activate a Smart Teacher on videos, and it's going to extract the audio track from the video. Is going to transcribe it using Amazon Transcribe or speech-to-text service. And it's going to extract important sentences from that transcription, which is again a feature in Amazon Comprehend, another one of our high-level services. And then they run the transcription through a text summarization model that is available on the AWS Marketplace. And so summarization is actually a very hard problem. You feed it, long piece of text, and it just gives you a summary of it. And of course, this needs to be, proper text, and it needs to make sense, and it needs to have all the key points in the original document. And it's really one of the hard problems in natural language processing. And so using the summary, you can see here the summary of the video. Okay, so it's like they call it Smart Notes, and it's exactly what it is. Basically, the key elements of the video summarized so that you can quickly read through it and review what the video is about. And then they have a quiz element, so extracting again key sentences from the video and building a quiz. So this helps you, it creates a more active experience while watching the videos, because you get the quiz to check that you understood and learned properly what that topic was, and you get the Smart Notes if you want to review later on. If this is a long form video, what was it about? And just quickly browse through and make sure you have all the key concepts in the notes, so that you don't have to take your own notes while watching. So I think this is a really cool project as well. And yeah, we can see the architecture. So we have on the left-hand side, again, we have a little bit of setup for DNS with Route 53 and CloudFront for content delivery. And so here, the developers went for an EC2 based architecture, and that's fine with load balancing. And we can see they took care of high availability and scaling and load balancing. So very nice infrastructure work here. It might be a hackathon project, but it looks, they thought about the harder problems as well. How would we scale? How would we make this resilient to failures, etc.? And so on the right-hand side, so we see S3 to store static content and DynamoDB for unstructured content. So again, two backends. And in the lower right corner, well, we see the machine learning services. So we see Transcribe, again, the speech-to-text service. So turning, let's say, an English audio track into English text. Comprehend for entity extraction, key sentence extraction, etc. So that would help you highlight the important bits in that text. And then SageMaker, so a SageMaker endpoint using the text summarizer model from the marketplace to basically summarize the long form transcript coming out of Transcribe into a short short notes that you can display in the video. So I think that this is really cool. Again, it's an end-to-end app. Infrastructure has been properly designed, and the combination of high-level services and a very complex machine learning model is quite powerful. So yeah, they totally deserved to be on the podium. So very nice project, and again, congratulations for building this.
Very cool. So we'll move to the next one, and this one is quite an interesting one as well. And so this is Alex, your personal assistant at work. And Alex is a chatbot that helps you at work to save time and boost your productivity. And so this was developed by Gustavo, who is a PhD student in machine learning, out of the United Kingdom. And it was really, gratifying to see that he was super engaged in the hackathon, and clearly learned a lot from the development and the time that he spent out here. And so you'll see next, essentially, the chatbot is essentially an application on his mobile device, which is designed to automate a lot of tasks. And so in this particular screenshot, he's taking a picture of a sketch of a wireframe that can be automatically generate HTML using an ML model in the background. Alex also has other capabilities using other models that have been integrated as well. But let me pause and see, Julian, what were your thoughts as you looked at Alex, the chatbot?
Oh, so I liked this one very, very much, and yeah, I really pushed for it to be in the top 3 because I can absolutely tell Gustavo is really, really passionate about this, and the number of services that he used and the number of different models that he used, and the fact that you can use a mobile app and an Alexa device shows that he was constantly trying to add more stuff to this. And I think if give him a few more weeks on this, and he's gonna add even more. And so on the left-hand side, we see the 2 devices. So the mobile app that allows you to take a picture. So in this case, it's a picture of a passport, and he uses a passport computer vision model from the marketplace. And honestly, I didn't know such a thing existed. So this goes to show, again, the depth of the AWS marketplace when it comes to models. If you need a model to extract data from passport pages, there is one. And that's a problem that a lot of people have, because they need to process data, they need to extract data from identity documents. So imagine the diversity of passports out there from different countries. Building a data set for this would be difficult. Training it for good results would be difficult. So here, in a few clicks, you go and deploy the model on SageMaker, and then you write a Lambda function that invokes the model, passing the image that was captured from the mobile device, and returns results. So I wouldn't I wouldn't give any number on the lines of codes that are required here, but it is very, very low. I'm guessing that Lambda function, the send passport Lambda function, is less than 30 lines of code, right? So by just plugging in all those different blocks, you achieve something really cool. The wireframe model is equally impressive. You can actually see a demo on the project page on DevPost. So Gustavo draws a simple UI on a piece of paper, and then again, using a voice interface, he asks his Alex bot to generate the UI, and that's using that wireframe model again from the marketplace. And it just goes on. Like I said, expense report processing, and opening a support ticket. So again, the the number of services that are used here and the diversity of the models that are used here show what you can build combining AWS services and pre-trained models. And like I said earlier, it's not one or the other, right? I mean, they complement themselves very well, like using Textract to extract text from an expense report and using that to predict and extract addresses using a trained model. So, sometimes people tell me, well, the high-level services, they're too simple. I can't use them to do clever stuff. And I'm like, well, you didn't try hard enough. And this is a great example of letting the high-level services do the heavy lifting for you and use pre-trained models to do the rest. And imagine if you had to build all those data sets, passports, UI, etc., and if you had to train all those models. I mean, it's an insanely complicated project. So here, it's it might not be a real life application in this case, but I think it demonstrates how fast and how easily you integrate all the building blocks on AWS to build something very, very powerful. So congratulations, Gustavo. Again, you totally deserve to be on the podium, and I'm sure you have more ideas to expand on this project.
Yeah, that's great. And there was an important point as we're looking at this architecture slide, which I thought was worth mentioning, because if you're talking about know your customer and passport data and all of that, sometimes it's more sensitive information. With the AWS Marketplace models that are hosted on Amazon SageMaker, they're hosted in a network isolation mode. So all of this is essentially just running in your VPC. And so your data never leaves your VPC. And so there's an added security as well when you deploy models through procured through AWS Marketplace on SageMaker in this network isolated mode.
Yeah, that's a really important point. And as I said earlier, machine learning is not something on the side. You need to acquire data, you need to store it, you need to process it, you need to secure it, and well, all those capabilities have been available on the AWS cloud for a number of years. So when you build machine learning on AWS, you automatically benefit from all the infrastructure and security and compliance work that has been done over the years. And for real life use cases, this matters a lot.
Exactly. All right. So I think we have just a little bit of time, but I think we want to switch over to the honorable mentions. So we had 5 honorable mentions as well.
Of course, we should talk about those too.
Right. It's easy to get lost in all these submissions. So and so this one, Julian and I will go with a little bit more of like an abbreviated a summary of these submissions that we came across, which are like honorable mentions, and so the next one is HealthCam. So Julian, why don't you walk us through this one?
HealthCam. Yeah. So I'm a big fan of healthcare related projects. I think those are really, really impactful, and there's so much to build here. So here it's this project is actually a mix of IoT and machine learning from Rico and Stephen in Australia. So well done, guys. And so if we can look at the architecture for this, I'll quickly explain you how it works. So using a Raspberry Pi, you actually check and a camera connected to the Pi. You actually check if a person is wearing a mask, a protective mask, to access a certain area. So imagine, some part of the building can only be accessed by people wearing masks. You would put this device, and it takes a picture of the person trying to enter the area, and then it uses a PPE detector. So PPE means personal protective equipment. So a model that knows to detect whether a person is wearing a mask and gloves, etc. And if the person is wearing protective equipment, then a relay connected to the Raspberry Pi will actually open the door. So and there's a UI around it, and the code that runs on the Raspberry Pi is deployed in a Docker container using an IoT service called AWS Greengrass. So again, a very, very strong mix of front end using AWS Amplify, which is a really nice library to build front end apps, connecting them automatically to backends, and IoT skills, and of course machine learning integration. I didn't see a lot of IoT projects, and this is probably the better one we saw in the hackathon. So I thought they deserved an honorable mention. So well done.
Okay. So the next one I'll switch and I'll walk you through Smart Checkout. And so this was submitted by a recent grad, Nishir, out of University of South California. Passionate about machine learning, but with no prior experience, he was able to teach himself a lot of things during the hackathon, and essentially develop this proof of concept around how can machine learning models be used to come up with a recommendation or personalized ads based on buyer propensity ML models. And quite often with machine learning, we hear a lot about computer vision and that's top of mind. But this I thought was like a great example just to show how machine learning has applications beyond the usual CV as well. And so in this case, these are buyer propensity ML models based on actual surveys that are collected by this provider, namely Prosper Insights, and they're able to predict based on income and other demographic information what is the likelihood of a person to be more interested in, say, fashion or sports. And so these are used to generate recommendations for either could be ads, or it could even be a more relevant coupon, right? Because quite often you go into a retail store and they start printing out coupons, and none of them make sense. So there are ways in which they can be much more relevant without having to know much about the information based on other statistical data and distribution based on certain demographics and other information that these providers have collected to generate ML models out of that. So kind of unique in that space, very simple application, but brings home the point on how ML has broader applications and a great illustration of that in this application. So Julian, back to you.
Oh yeah, the next one, yes. So this one is another healthcare project, and it does two things. So first, it builds a sentiment analysis model using one of the high-level surveys, and it does that on drug reviews. Okay, so it can give you a sentiment analysis on a particular drug that your doctor has prescribed, and the second thing it does is it actually extracts text from a picture of your prescription, okay, and it's going to find a drug name, and then using the combination of the two capabilities, right? So combining the sentiment model and the drug name, it's going to give you sentiment information on the specific drug that your doctor prescribed. Okay, so hopefully it's good. If not, you could call back the doctor and say, well, most people have very undesirable effects, or which, are you really sure this is the one for me? But if you have a good doctor, that's not going to happen. So yeah, so I think that's it's a simpler app. The architecture is not as elaborate as the other projects, but I think generally the idea is very nice. Take a picture of your prescription and automatically get a sentiment analysis on that drug. So knowing that 82% of people had a positive thing to say about this, is probably good news. So interesting, and this is using an entity extraction for drug names. Again, very niche model, but that kind of stuff is available on the marketplace, and the two together are really cool. So I
Cool.
like that.
Yeah, and in this one was Jack is a data scientist, and he was able to use something which was pre-trained and purpose-built for, like you said, like a niche area for like drug name entity extraction, but all the same helps correlate other data with the doctor's prescription. And
so this is a smart, very smart move. Just again, like I said, going fast, using
Exactly.
high-level services to kind of simplify everything and build quick. So well done.
So next one it's called Music Bucket. And as we think about COVID-19, this one kind of resonated with me quite a bit. Wherein Evan built a mobile app, essentially a karaoke app, to allow you to upload any music, any song, and essentially the app is very nicely done, and it essentially allows you to it utilizes ML in the background, an ML model from Quantify, to extract the vocal and the other accompanying music into two separate audio files. So then, as you think about a karaoke battle or like competition between friends, you're able to upload any song into this app, and on the fly it'll separate the vocals, and so then you're able to just sing along on top of the music in the background. Very nicely done in terms of like a very rich mobile experience. As you can see, sort of he thought through like how to look for friends, add them, upload songs, and quite simply use the ML model in the background to do the heavy lifting to separate the vocals, right? And so in Evan's words, like he said, he started off with zero experience with machine learning, and clearly he was able to successfully implement a working app, which is quite gratifying when you look at it. And so that's kind of the reason why you see Music Bucket mentioned in the honorable mention out there. And so, yeah, I'm looking for this for my Friday weekend coming up tomorrow to kind of make something up out there.
Yeah, it's good fun. It's good fun. Okay, we have one more to go. Numoscan. So this one again is a team of people, and congratulations. And it's interesting because I think there's a third person who still worked on this, and so we have a PhD student on machine learning. Yes, we have Sagar working on the web app, and the second person, sorry for forgetting. Yes, Mohit, working on infrastructure. So a combination of skills to build this app. So this app is another health-related app, and it does three things. So the first one is it uses a barcode and QR code pre-trained model to identify specific employees, okay, and making sure only authorized personnel is entering a certain area. So first, you show your badge to a camera, a picture's taken, it goes through that Quantify model. And if you are part of authorized personnel, then the second thing it's going to do, it's going to use that PPE detector, personal protective equipment detector model again. And in those crazy times that we live in, I'm guessing this is a really, really popular model right now. So making sure the person is wearing a mask, is wearing gloves, is wearing safety garment, etc., etc. It's a pretty elaborate model, and if this is fine, then you can go in. Okay, so a little bit similar to the HealthCam project, but a little more elaborate in the safety checks that they perform. And the third part of the project is actually a model that was trained by the team on X-ray classification. So they used a COVID data set for X-ray images, and they used TensorFlow to train a model to be able to detect if a certain person, if a certain picture is showing COVID symptoms or not. So very cool project, a good mix again of pre-trained models for really difficult problems, and a model that was trained by the team on a specific data set to solve a business problem. So very nice combination. Again, very clever use of Lambda and API gateway for minimal cost.
Great. Thank you, Julian. It's like I feel bad. We only had so much time. There are so many exciting projects out there, and lot to see and explore. So with that, again, a shout out and congratulations to the winners and all the participants. They were truly, it was truly, exciting to see everybody come in and leverage this and use this as an opportunity to learn and build something new. For more, yeah, go ahead.
Again, I want to thank all the participants. I'm very impressed, and I'm sure I will meet some of you at some point out there. So I can't promise to travel to 92 countries, especially right now. But normal life will resume, and if you if you ever attend a conference or an event where I'm speaking, please come and say hi. I would love to meet you in person. And I will definitely use some of those projects in my own presentation, because I think they perfectly highlight our philosophy of building fast and giving developers freedom to build on high-level services, pre-trained models, bespoke models, etc. So these are really fine projects. And thank you again to everybody, and thank you to the AWS Marketplace team for organizing this and kindly inviting me to judge and to take part in this webinar. Much appreciated.
Thank you, Julian. And so there's a URL that you can see on your screen where you can definitely access the Marketplace solutions for machine learning from that location. So with that, thanks everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.